So let's dive into this really fascinating idea from Islamic tradition. It's an idea that might just explain some of the deepest, most mysterious feelings we have. Those moments that feel like they're echoing from a time way before our own lives even began. You know that feeling, right? It's not like you miss a person or a place. It's more like this deep, quiet ache for something you can't even name. It's the sense that you're being pulled towards something just beyond your grasp, even when everything in your life is going great. And what about this one? You meet a complete stranger and bam, there's this instant, profound connection. It's not just that you have things in common, it feels ancient. It feels like your souls are just picking up a conversation right where they left off, maybe centuries ago. Well, here's the thing. The Islamic tradition doesn't just write these feelings off as random emotions or your imagination running wild. No, it offers a pretty mind-blowing explanation. These are echoes. They're fragments of a real memory that every single one of us carries from a time before we were ever born. So our story begins in a place called the al-Arwāḥ, the world of souls. Try to picture this, a purely spiritual reality, totally outside of time as we know it. And in this realm, every single human soul that would ever exist was gathered together. This is where our shared story starts. I mean, just try to wrap your head around the scale of that. We're talking billions and billions of souls. Everyone from the very first human to the very last, all present in one single metaphysical moment. This wasn't just some abstract idea. It was a real, conscious spiritual gathering. And in that timeless moment, with every soul present and accounted for, God addressed them all directly. He posed one question, just one, that would literally define the entire purpose of human existence and become the foundation of our very being. And this is the verse that describes that moment. It's known as the Covenant. The question, "Am I not your Lord?" wasn't really a question looking for an answer. It was more like a call for recognition. And every soul, yours and mine included, responded with Bala, a resounding yes, testifying to this absolute truth from the core of their own being. And that powerful yes didn't just fade away into nothingness. Nope, it was actually encoded into our very essence, into something called the fitra. Think of it as our spiritual DNA. It's our primordial nature, this innate pull and longing for God that we're all born with. It's the living, breathing echo of that covenant. The great scholar Shāh Walīullāh described this so beautifully. He called the fitra the imprint of what the soul witnessed back in that world of proximity. So it's not a memory that's stored in your brain like what you had for breakfast. It's an imprint on your very soul. Now, as you can imagine, with a concept this deep, different scholars have explored it in different ways. It wasn't about disagreement, but more about trying to grasp this profound reality. For example, Ibn al-Qayyim, he pictured it as a full conscious existence, where souls were actually interacting. Al-Ghazālī saw it more as a defining spiritual state, the soul's essential orientation before creation. And Shāh Walīullāh, he described it as a real spiritual awareness, just not a physical material one. It just shows you how rich this tradition is. Okay, so this leads us to a really cool question. If all the souls were there together, did they interact? Did they, get to know each other? The answer to this might just be the key to that feeling of instant connection we talked about earlier. I mean, check this out. This famous saying of the Prophet Muhammad makes a pretty extraordinary claim. It suggests that our friendships, our attractions, our affinities in this life, they're not random at all. The people we feel an instant pull towards are the very ones our souls were already familiar with in the world of souls. So what exactly does knowing each other mean in this context? We're not talking about small talk. This was a deep, essential resonance. Souls that had a similar spiritual character, or a shared love for certain truths, or were just on a similar spiritual wavelength. They naturally clustered together. You could say they were already part of the same spiritual tribe. So those deep connections you feel, they might just be echoes of a harmony that was set in motion before time began. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But it brings us to a huge, critical part of the story. If we had this profound, incredible experience, why on earth don't we remember it clearly? Why the forgetting? Well, the tradition describes the soul's journey as a kind of descent. It moves from that pure, spiritual existence in the world of souls through a more subtle, imaginal world, before finally entering the physical body in our world. And with each step down, a veil is drawn over its original, luminous memory. It's a necessary part of the process. And this is the philosophical heart of the whole thing, isn't it? If that yes is the foundation for everything, why is the memory sealed away? Why would we be made to forget something so important? Actually, the wisdom behind the forgetting is incredibly profound. See, it allows for a real test of faith, one that comes from genuine choice, not from being forced by a crystal clear memory of an overwhelming event. The whole purpose of this life, then, becomes the journey of remembering. And it creates the distance needed for real love to grow, not just awe. Ultimately, knowing this truth from your fitra, feeling it in your bones, is way deeper than just recalling an old memory. Think about this powerful metaphor. A reed flute can't make any music until it's cut from the reed bed and hollowed out. In the same way, our separation from that original state, our forgetting, is what allows for the beautiful music of our own personal journey back to God. The veil isn't a wall, it's the very thing that makes the path genuinely ours to walk. So, what does all of this mean for you and me, right here, right now? How can this ancient memory actually shape the way we live our lives today? Let's bring this down to earth. Well, for starters, every act of worship, especially things like dhikr or remembrance, it stops being a new act and becomes an act of remembering, of uncovering that ancient yes. And that deep nameless longing you sometimes feel, that's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the authentic call of your soul. Repentance, or tawbah, isn't just about saying sorry. It's a return to your true primordial state. And those people who feel like home, cherish them. Your souls might just be very, very old friends. This verse from the Quran just perfectly captures the entire arc of the human journey. Notice the word is return. The ultimate command isn't to find something new, but to return to your Lord, completing the circle that began all that time ago in the world of souls. So when you boil it all down, this whole perspective reframes your entire life. Your spiritual path isn't about trying to create a relationship with God from scratch. It's about a journey of excavation. It's about remembering and living up to a yes that your soul has already spoken. And I just want to leave you with this incredible story about the spiritual master Du al-Nun al-Misri. Someone asked him, "When did you begin to love God?" And his answer was perfect. He said, "I did not begin, I remembered." And really, that says it all. The journey isn't one of discovery, but of remembrance. And that love, that truth we're all searching for, it's not out there somewhere to be found. It's already inside us, just waiting to be remembered.